welcome to Defin, episode number 78. And we are back with a
78?
proper...
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Why are you shocked?
I don't know.
Surprised.
I'm
Astonished.
I don't know.
Flabbergasted.
I thought we've got a 79
Amused.
on the thing there, and I thought it was
Yeah.
80, and now we're going back to 78. So it's like, it's all over the fucking shop.
Oh, well, fuck it. Then it's going to be three-parter. It's going to be trilogy, 78, 79, and 80. And the next one is going to be 81. So, cool. So, welcome to Defin, episode number 78 or 79 or 80. Pick your number. Yes, that's the correct number that you picked. So, we're here today with, I think this is probably the peak of Defin. Maybe, this is the time we are going to talk about, I hope, mostly about Emacs, but we'll see. And we have special guests today, all the way from Brazil. And Eric, welcome to the show.
Hi, Vijay. Thank you. Hi, Ray.
Hi, Eric.
I think Ray is just checking his TikTok probably on his phone.
Yeah, that sounds like carnival. That's our classical one.
Right.
Holy
I'm
shit.
going to sort of put that into the mix as we go along to get a nice feel. And if Vijay doesn't like it, he can fuck off. Okay.
I don't like this podcast anyway.
You don't listen to it, so you don't really
Yeah,
have to
totally.
care, do you?
It's not a problem. I mean, if you do it live, that is a problem. We can mix it later. Then I don't care.
Yeah.
Anywho,
Well, I'm
maybe
going to
it's
do it
good to-
live. I'm going to do it live to annoy you.
sure. I'm above these things now.
Good. Okay.
Let's do a proper invitation. So, Eric, welcome to the show again.
Hello, Eric.
After so maybe a quick. Holy fuck! This is so annoying. Do you even understand what they're singing? I don't
Yeah.
think so.
I
No,
understand.
not you. I mean Ray. No.
Well, but he can tell us, It's like,
Yeah.
I think
the
it's
lyrics
all
are like,
joyful
shut the
stuff.
fuck up, Ray.
No, it's joyful stuff, mate. It's get on the dance floor. That's what it is.
Ah. Okay.
I bet I'm closer
Anyway.
anyway to that to the truth than you are.
In what way?
Well, I bet it's closer to get up and dance rather than fuck off Ray.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean interpretation. It's lyrics can be interpreted in whatever the way.
Interpretive dance is already.
So imagine we're sitting on a booth and there is something playing, and then there's like get up and dance. Basically means Ray, you get the fuck off. Anyway, yeah. So, Eric, the LSP man. So maybe a quick intro in the order. Maybe a quick what do you do? How did you end up in Clojure world? And what are you doing right now? And what are your hopes and aspirations? And how
Oh
you
my
are
God.
changing the world with LSP and LSD or LSP or LSP, I think. Not fucking hell. Yeah.
Sure. Let's go.
Anyway, go ahead.
So, I'm a software developer at Nubank. I started working there back on 2019. And I never saw Clojure at that time. I was a Java developer, so I came for a different, let's say, a different IDE world. So I was using Eclipse at the time, and then when I started working at Nubank, I found that a lot of people was using Emacs. I also never heard about it. So it was a lot of...
This is fucking loud. Why?
I've got to ruin the Emacs part of the show.
You can't.
So,
This is the. I think this is the thing. Like for 40 years, people kept trying to do this and they couldn't. So it's like kind of okay, yeah, fuck, I'm gonna try, and then in the end, it's Emacs that's gonna outlive you anyway. So
we can do
Emacs
a
has already
Emacs
outlived
carnival.
you. Yes, exactly.
So,
I've got
So-
to find. I've got to find somewhere to fight back.
yeah. So I started working with some people that was using Emacs, and I gave a try and started
Mhm.
using Duo Emacs,
Yeah.
and then I'm in love since then. So
Do you realize that you're
It's
just
a
playing
carnival
happy
of
music
editors.
whenever there is Emacs?
Yeah,
So
it's carnival of editors.
Yeah.
it's just having exact opposite effect of what you're trying to do.
Well, I'll keep
Sure.
doing it. We'll see. So you're into Emacs now. You're a lover of
Yeah.
Emacs.
Yeah. I actually, there were a lot of new things to me. Like I started using a new operational system. Since then I'm using NixOS, which is a
Right. Okay.
functional operation system. Really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I then found the LSP thing. So I started to search about what is LSP and contributing to LSP mode and talking with the people from there, and it was really cool. And I found a lot of things to improve on the Emacs community. And then I found Clojure LSP, which was already an existing project. The maintainer actually was not working hard on it. He didn't have the time for working on Clojure LSP.
Yeah.
And then I started to fixing issues, improving, adding some other features. And I think late on 2020, he agreed to pass the project to another organization so I could work fully on that. And that's it.
But before LSP thing, I'm wondering. So if you're a Java developer before, so I'm assuming you're doing backend Java or Spring or whatever that kids do these days. It's been a long time since I touched Java, so I'm assuming Spring
Yes.
Boot or whatever the crap that Java people are using these days. And so, how was the shift for you? Like, how did you learn Clojure? Because if was it on the job, or I know Newbank basically has every developer working in the entire Latin America. Whoever says Clojure, they're basically in Newbank now.
Yeah.
But how was the transition for you? Like, how did you learn Clojure stuff, and how do you feel about compared to your Java experience?
Actually, I said I never saw Clojure before.
Wait, the fuck? Why?
Because it's Clojure, it's a carnival experience.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a button here to mute Ray, so don't worry.
So I found Clojure. Actually, I heard about Clojure some 1 year, I think, before I joined the bank, and I started to study and show it to my coworkers, my Java coworkers, and they just say, "This is really crazy. It doesn't make sense at all." But I was really liking that new link. There were some people. Nubank was becoming a huge company at that time, so I had some friends. I have some friends that joined this company, and I just and some months later, I think the opportunity came to me to join Nubank and code Clojure, and was a big step to me. But I gave a try, and I think I chose
Mm.
I made the correct choice. So when I started working with Clojure at Nubank, it was really different to me. The functional thing, it's really different from the um, oriented object. So um, I think it was not a fast change to me, but after some months, I was doing well, I think.
Okay.
Quick question on that. You know, when going back to your old colleagues, your previous colleagues who were kind of thinking it was crazy, the Clojure, was it mostly like a syntax objection or was it something else?
I think the syntax, actually. Actually, we were working with Spring and Spring Web Flux, which kind of introduced some functional things to Java.
Mm,
Not
mm.
really functional, but it was a start. But we can say Clojure is really, really, truly functional. So it was a lot different from Java.
Yeah, I think it's both syntax and semantics, right? I mean, but I think in Java, it's been a long time since I wrote Java. I think that there is a bit of no lambdas and all that stuff coming in. I think a few years ago, so there is still streams and there is map and reduce sort of things there in Java now. So if you consider that as functional programming, because functional programming is like true Scotsman sorts of shit. Like everybody says whatever they're doing is functional, then someone what someone
Mm.
else is
Yeah,
doing. So
yeah.
yeah.
Actually, we are using a lot of strings from Java 8. So
Okay.
uh, there are a lot of uh, kind of functional things, but
Mm,
the people from there uh, did not understand it easily, that
mm,
strings thing. So they just thought that Clojure would be the same,
yeah.
but
Mm.
we know that Clojure has just functions, just easier functions that those string things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's different.
I think also the wording, the phrasing around the Java side of things is always a little bit slightly off, in my opinion. You know, like calling it streams and all the terms that they use are hiding their true nature. Maybe that's their marketing. You know, is they're trying to kind of hide what they're doing, or that it's not an
Yeah,
FP language, or it's not an FP
yeah,
a functional system. So they're just trying to kind of, you know, if you use those kind of marketing phrases, as it were, then functional stuff might seep into their brain by accident, but most likely it won't. It will just be resisted. I think. I
yeah,
don't know. I wonder how it's working. From what you're saying, that's correct. Yeah.
yeah. We all know that under those strings things, there is nothing about immutability.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all about mutability.
Mm.
Yeah. So at Newbank then, because usually when I hear people coming to Clojure, I think in the I don't know 10 years ago or 5 years ago, everybody was like, oh, learn Emacs and then get into Clojure, and because it's Lispy thing, and but that's kind of difficult for beginners because you are learning new editor and new everything new and new libraries and new build tools and new way of thinking and new syntax and all that shit. So how did you cope up with it? Like how does Newbank maybe how did you cope up with it, and then how do you introduce this to new people who are coming from, if they never use like command line, if they never used I know everybody uses IntelliJ or maybe back in the day Eclipse, then that's what you think is the development environment is, and then
Yeah,
you are thrown at the deep end. So how was your journey?
yeah. When people join Nubank, they actually have a huge onboarding, about
Mhm.
more or less 3 weeks. So it's a big onboarding, teaching a lot of Nubank things.
Mm.
And one of the things they teach is how to use Clojure and work with the services and etc. So they don't say use this editor or use this tool.
So there is this onboarding for new Clojure people, and they don't force you an editor on you. That's annoying when the people should
So
be
actually,
telling you to use Emacs.
most of the Clojure developers there recommend using Cursive. So Nubank has Cursive license.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's
Very
just
sensible.
set up
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
You don't need to do anything more. But I hope this will change soon.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
What?
At least back on the time I joined Nubank,
Revolution.
things changed a lot because, in my opinion, it's just easier now to set up Emacs with LSP things than before. So there are other editors like Calva, which
Yeah.
For VS Code, which is using Clojure LSP as well, is just easier. So I think if you start, I actually recommend it. If you start using Clojure right now, I suggest you use Calva because it's just easy to set up and you don't need any cursive license, anything like that. Yeah, and you have all the features that LSP provides. So I think back on that time there was nothing like that.
Well, I think I would just in defense of Cursive, I think if you're an IntelliJ user, then the move to become a Clojure user using Cursive is really smooth, because you've got all of the kind of affordances that you have with IntelliJ, which is which is definitely an awesome editor if you're a sort of Java or a Python programmer. So, I mean, I think you're right that it's good that you have kind of like good options in terms of like the amount of static analysis stuff that you can get through LSP and other editors now. But I think Cursive is still a very, very polished.
Cursive is awesome. Actually, it's a awesome tool. But I agree with you. If you came from Java, for example, you probably were using Eclipse or IntelliJ, so it will be just easy for you to use Cursive.
Yeah, I think so. You don't need to learn new stuff, just to be productive, like opening a project and all these kind of things are there already.
There is a new developer that joined my team recently that he was a Java developer and was using IntelliJ before. And he started using Cursive for 1-2 months. And then he asked to me, how can I use Emacs? And then I asked to him, why you want to change now? And then say, after I saw you using Emacs and all the keyboard key shortcuts and the keybites you use, it's just faster. I don't want to use the mouse anymore. It seems a good editor. So these are the cases I see people changing. So they it's not that you can't have all of this with Cursive, but I don't know. I just think they see that I actually never saw anyone using Cursive that doesn't need to use mouse or anything like that. Yeah.
That efficiently. Yeah.
It's weird actually because I mean, like you said, there's a ton of keyboard shortcuts in IntelliJ, and I don't think there's any shame in there's no shame in using the mouse, is there?
Nah.
Okay.
No.
But just
I don't know. I just feel it's faster. I'm not sure. Probably some preference of mine, but not sure.
I think it's certainly faster. There is no question about it, because I remember
I think that's debatable. Yeah.
No, I mean, if you have 4K display and then you have this high resolution and you need to put, so when I have to use my mouse has this maximum acceleration. Even then it's fucking weird, because if you want to switch between different things, and of course I use IntelliJ. I use IntelliJ a lot, for Python coding and all that crap. Also sometimes Scala, and there are some shortcuts that I'm used to, but I'm not as productive as in Emacs. So maybe there are people who are way more productive, but I totally see the point that when somebody is using it, it's like I remember seeing it first time when who was it called? Was it Monty or the guy who made MySQL back in the day? In 2005, there was this Linux Asia conference, and then I was just sitting with him, and then he's just opening his tiny laptop with this terminal thing, and then just doing shit left and right in Emacs. I'm like, what kind of god mode power is this? Because I mean, at that time I was just using Linux on the servers a little bit. I was back in Red Hat 5 days, and
This really is a full-on
mostly.
Emacs podcast now, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, we're getting to the
But
origin
that is
story of your Emacs.
No, I mean, you
story.
can. It's not Emacs, because I've seen people using Vim at that level as well. It's not there. There are a couple of editors that are people bend it to their will, and then it's extremely productive. You can see
Exactly.
how quick they are with everything. But that's the whole point. The tool shouldn't be blocking your speed. Like, oh, where the fuck is this in some sort of a menu, and then I can't
Yeah, I think
redefine that to do what I want to do. That
It's
is the
funny,
biggest
actually.
change, I think.
It's funny to me because I often think that that the editor is the second most important thing. I think if the language is sufficiently powerful and sufficiently expressive, then that's where you're going to get the wins rather than the keyboard mechanism.
Yeah, but the language is runtime, right? How quickly you can express your idea is basically your editor, and that's where you're trying to tell the editor, and that's the reason why. I mean, you can imagine if people were using Java and then not IntelliJ, you can see their productivity go down like hell, because all the static things and all the fancy shit that IntelliJ provides, like boilerplate and all this stuff, which is there is kind of a synergy between the language and the editor. I think for me, for Lisp, it feels Emacs is more synergetic, and I've seen people writing C in Vim like like super lightning fast levels. So
yeah, I never had an IDE when I was a C programmer.
That's
so,
actually
yeah.
something before using Emacs, I was using Eclipse for Java, and Eclipse already had this kind of shortcuts. So I remember that I just didn't need the mouse for using code actions and organizing portions and things like that. So I was already feeling that I would need to have another editor that would have the same things. So yeah,
makes sense. Yeah. But so let's talk a little bit about LSP, because what is LSP and how it is the great equalizer among the among the editors these days. So
can
maybe
we just
give
go
us some
back
idea.
for 1 second before we get into
For
LSP
Emacs,
per
yes.
se? Yeah. No, backing up, it's like you sort of, it was quite amazing to me, your little story. You learned Clojure, then you learned LSP, and then you started contributing to it. So was this like your first like open source like project, or were you an open source contributor before? I mean, how did you get into all of that stuff? Because that already seemed like quite a big, quite like escalated quickly.
Sure.
Let's say,
as the kids say these days.
It was not the first open source project I worked, but I think I had some Spring Thing open source project, but it was the first that I worked with more people and way famous project. So I started with LSP mode, and then I started with Clojure LSP and another one that I'm a maintainer, that is LSP Dart, which is for Flutter and things like that. So and then I was just in love with the open source thing, and I was just helping other projects and working on new things. But yeah, Clojure helped a lot with this.
So I think it's a good idea to explain to people who are not aware of what LSP is. So what does it do, and then where is all this Emacs stuff coming in, and then how it can be used in Clojure. So the whole story.
We can drop the Emacs thing. We've had enough Emacs shit on the show already. I'm sure you'll get you back into it.
Actually, LSP has nothing related with Emacs. So LSP stands for Language Server Protocol, which was just a protocol created by Microsoft back on 2015, I think, when they were creating the VS Code. They just found the same issues they had with new languages and a new editor where you need to implement support for all languages. You need to do the same thing other editors did when they created. So they found this way to create a standard, a protocol where new editors and new languages could follow the same uh, pattern, the same standard, and it would make it easy to create a new language and offer the same features and same tools other languages already have. So the LSP provides a huge specification, a huge web page saying what clients and servers should do. So a client you can think as the editor itself, and the server is just a program that runs that the client, the editor spawns. So it's just a program that runs on your machine. So, for example, a client for LSP would be Emacs, would be VS Code, would be IntelliJ, etc. And for the server, it's for example, Clojure LSP. And I think this is working really well because new languages are embedding the server, the LSP servers inside the language itself. So, for example, the Dart language from Google, which Flutter use, it has the Dart SDK that has the analysis server built in. So you don't need any other program to use the LSP. You already have the Dart SDK. So this is really, really cool.
Okay. So how is the Clojure LSP thing working? So how does it work, or to use in REPL, or so how does it fit into the rest of the ecosystem?
I remember that when I joined Nubank, everybody was saying to me, just use the REPL, and you have everything you need. And I say, but I don't have, for example, linting stuff. I don't have code navigation without my REPL. Can I? And I start to searching about this LSP thing. It turns out that the Clojure LSP doesn't rely on the REPL. You don't need anything because it's all about static stuff. So I separate these two things in static analysis that is related with LSP, and you can say the REPL it's related with runtime things. So if you need to evaluate something, run a test, or anything that you need to have a runtime thing, you need the REPL. This is completely true in Clojure. But if you need code navigation, refactoring, information in your editor, UI things, everything static, it's related with static things. It's about the LSP.
So just to understand that a bit better, then. So with the existing Emacs tooling, I think they normally use the REPL as a way to analyze your code. So is that something that's different between like the LSP approach to like Clojure code and Emacs versus like the standard approach that we've had before?
I think the REPL thing for Emacs specifically is too good. We have the CIDR and REPL and things like that, and they just found some ways to make static features that you have on static analyze like LSP available via the REPL as well. So if you have the CIDR running in your project, we will have code navigation as well. You have refactor from CLJ refactor and things like that. But I don't think this is bad. This is just something good. You can use this as well, but you don't need a REPL to have these things as well. So if you have LSP, you don't need to start your REPL and scan all the REPL or jack-in or load your file to have these features as well. So you can use both, but there is this kind of trade-off.
Isn't it then you're having like two processes running? Because I think LSP does, please correct me if I'm wrong. Most probably I'm wrong. It's going to generate an index of all the things, and then it needs to start and then keep it there. I remember projectile also does something like that, and then so if I'm using LSP in for Clojure, for example, regardless of what editor I'm using, then I end up having two different server processes running. There is LSP process and there is REPL process I connect to. So isn't it going to be heavy, or is there a way to use one process,
Yeah. Um,
to do everything?
no, actually there is no way to use, for example, REPL inside LSP. I think they are two different things, but the LSP, the Clojure LSP, it scans all the class path, the whole project, for the first time you start in your project, and then it caches this analysis.
Yeah.
So the next startups is really it's really fast. So it will just need to reanalyze your project if you change any dependencies or things like that. And we are always trying to improve the performance. So Clojure LSP is compiled with GraalVM for faster startup and performance and things like that. But yeah, you need two processes actually running, the REPL one and the Clojure LSP. But at least for me, I can say if I don't need to evaluate something. For example, I just browsing in some project or making say different things. I don't need to jack in with the REPL. It's just faster to use LSP navigation and refactor quickly. So yeah.
So when you're using Emacs, then I'm sort of like, I'm asking these questions. I don't really know the answer, but I know the sort of general ecosystem around Cider and Orchard and these kind of things from having Bojadar on the various conferences and also on this podcast. I'm always interested in what he says. So are you talking about you have a kind of different mode then? So you have a REPL, but that REPL is just like an nREPL, but it's not doing any of this like analysis in the background. Whereas, so you have the LSP server in the background checking your files and making sure that index of the static analysis stuff is up to date. So your Emacs mode, as it were, is receiving all of this instrumentation from the LSP.
Yeah.
Is that right?
You can think this could be good or bad, because LSP is all the time scanning and reanalyzing and indexing your files. But this is good for a better user experience, I think, because who never had the issue which you just forgot to evaluate something you changed on another namespace, and you need to reload everything or just go back there, or for some cases where the cache doesn't help, you need to restart your repo. So this is something I think the LSP helps with the user experience. But yeah.
And so for static analysis, do you use any of these Michiel Borken's tools like CLJ Condo or something like that behind the scenes? Because I know he's just putting out shit like crazy, and then like with speed of light, different types of tools and everything.
When I started working the project, Clojure LSP has had its own way of analyze the code, which had a lot of issues because we are just implementing all the analysis stuff by ourselves. So was not easy to work on Clojure LSP at that time. But then we started using CLJ Condo for the analysis stuff, which is it's awesome library for Barkdude. And it's working really, really well because CLJ Condo, it's a mature library that has this analysis stuff, which makes just easier for Clojure LSP analyze, get this analysis and just query and use what we need. So yeah, Clojure LSP at the moment relies a lot on CLJ condo analysis, which seems to be working really, really well.
Nice. And so how is the Clojure script support for LSP? Because it's always been, or at least that's what I hear from people who are starting in Clojure, and also a couple of teams that I work with. The Clojure script thing is always tricky thing to get
Yeah.
right in their editors.
I can't say it works as well as Clojure, but I can say it has a lot of
nice.
Most of the things work good. Actually, there are features that, for example, you don't have on Cursor that you can navigate through, for example, reframe events, reframe subscribers via the keywords thing. So this is something people really like. You can see, for example, reframe events, code lengths, references, and things like that. So those kind of things work really good. Probably there is some bug or another with Clojure CLJC files, which has all those weird things, but I think they work well. Yeah, the reader macros.
Like
so
the reader macros.
But they work good.
Yeah. Okay. And how many people are at Newbank are using
this is
Clojure
not,
LSP now?
this is something I always have to I want to know, but it's not easy because there are more than 1,000 developers there. Yeah,
they start Google Analytics.
There are actually more than 1,000 developers there, so it's not easy. Yeah.
Oh my god, it's doubled.
I think there are probably more IntelliJ and Cursive users than Emacs, but if you count, if you think that Clojure LSP is not about Emacs, it's about VI, it's about Calva, VS Code.
Yeah.
You probably have have a lot of users. Yeah, I actually have some ideas in mind about writing some kind of playbooks and things for new engineers at Nubank, that they will have this choice about reading what every editor has and then wisely choose. So
yeah. So in the onboarding program, there is going to be, this is how you configure Vim, this is how you configure Cursive, this is how you configure Emacs. But, we all know you should use Emacs anyway, so there is no point in reading other shit, so read this part. That's what
Ray will probably don't like this, but
listen, I mean, I don't really care what you do.
I think that is a really big win using Clojure LSP / CLJ Condo. That is, you can have a configuration, a common configuration in some place, right? So here at Nubank, we have this common library that we have all the Clojure LSP configuration, all the CLJ configuration about macros and everything. And if you are a Clojure LSP user, don't mind what editor you are using, but you are using Clojure LSP, you have all the macros linked correctly, formatted correctly. So this is really, really cool because, if I already saw a lot of times Cursive developers need to right click there and choose link to this as like that, and you don't have a common way to configure that. So I think the CLJ Condo configuration, Clojure LSP configuration helps a lot with that.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the big differences. I mean, I would like to have Colin come on here and talk a bit about Cursive one of these days, because I think that's one of the big differences that we're seeing is this, he's a one-man team, and you can't take contributions so easily, I think, because it's a closed source environment. Whereas I think with Clojure LSP, once you've got the kind of basics of these macro things working, you can ask Mikhail Borken to do the rest of them for you. 3 hours later, he's got the rest all Clojure macros done, or whatever. But I'm joking aside. You've got more people that can join the macro army and essentially do that kind of like last mile work, that kind of like the long
I can
tail
surely
kind of
say
work.
that Barkdude helped a lot with the Clojure LSP integration. So all the time we chat about issues and how we can improve the LSP integration or fix CLJ Condo things. So I report an issue, or he say to me, you need to fix there, and then I can open a pull request on CLJ Condo. So I think it works really well. So this is something the open source community helps a lot as well.
Yeah. So if I understand correctly, Cursive, well, obviously Cursive started way before all this stuff started, right? Or at least it was available way before all this stuff was there. So Cursive doesn't use LSP yet for static analysis. I think it uses custom code probably, right?
No, the idea of Cursive is that it uses the indexing that's available in IntelliJ.
Oh, in IntelliJ. Yeah.
That's the
MPS or something.
Yeah, that's actually
okay, cool.
Yeah,
I think that makes more sense.
You can think that makes sense because your Cursive has a lot of things that it would be probably hard to add to Clojure LSP. For example, the Java analysis. So since Cursive has this index thing, so it already has the Java stuff things. So it plays really well. We are thinking. I'm talking with Barkdude about adding Java analysis to CLJ Condo, so this would work too. But you can say, yeah.
Wow. Doesn't LSP? I mean, doesn't LSP
partially
support
supports?
Java?
Yeah.
No, I think there is one probably.
It supports, but
Sorry?
not as good as Cursive. For example, you can find definition of Java stuff, but unless you are using any REPL or something like that. But from LSP itself, at the moment, we don't support that.
No, I was just thinking because LSP has support for many languages, but I'm guessing it's a lot of the Microsoft languages, so C# and F#, which are not very strongly integrated in Clojure.
I think the JavaScript has LSP as well, but I think that the challenge here is that IntelliJ, maybe, I'm just speculating here, is that has a common, definition for all the languages that they support.
Yeah.
And then here you're in the Clojure LSP world, and then you're opening Java code. Then now you're in the Java LSP world, and those two are not actually talking to each other probably.
Exactly. You can think that Cursive has IntelliJ has everything built in, and it works if, for example, you have this Clojure file, and then you open a Java file. You will use the LSP Java for that. But the issue is how can you find the definition of this and then go to the Java thing. So
exactly, go to that one.
This is the issue there. But
but it should be the same when you're dealing with Clojure script and JavaScript libraries, right?
Yeah,
or
it's the same. Probably the same.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, but I think it's at least if you're doing single monogamous programming, just only one. If that is a thing, I don't think anybody is monogamous anymore. But I mean, programming wise, obviously, because you have to write JavaScript, you have to write HTML, writing CSS. So all those are languages anyway. So and then you're some hacky build script somewhere in Bash. So there's like a million different languages that you're using. But if your primary language is Clojure, then Clojure LSP makes sense. But the very moment you have like this polyglot code base or Clojure script, and then you have Clojure and all that stuff. So that would be a bit tricky. On that one, I have.
Oh, go on. I thought you were just wondering, just rambling for a second there.
Not for a second. The rest of the 2 hours is going to be just me rambling.
You're just losing it. Do you have a point?
So I have a question there. That is it the same Clojure LSP that is going to support both Clojure script and Clojure, or is it something? Do we have like Clojure script LSP and Clojure LSP?
No, it's the exactly same project. I think most the hard work happens on CLJ Condo side. So CLJ Condo analysis support both Clojure script and Clojure. So this makes Clojure LSP supports both as well.
What I was going to ask you actually was, what is the sort of scope of LSP? Because LSP is made for like lots of languages, but what is it? What does it? Because we're looking at like it from the Clojure perspective and the editor's perspective. But what is it from their perspective? What is like the goal of LSP from Microsoft's perspective? Like, what is the scope of it? What is it? What is it trying to standardize?
I think the main features from LSP, which Microsoft tries to standardize, it's the code navigation, probably the code refactors. So Clojure, you have to add your queries and imports, and other languages you have the same, like Java and things like that. You have find definition, you have find reference. You could have, for example, at Clojure LSP, we have the call hierarchy, which is a feature, for example, that you don't have at Cursor. But all these things work. Clojure is a different language, but it has all the features that other languages, it could have all the features that other language has. So code navigation is probably the most common things.
And in terms of the protocol support, because I do use Clojure LSP, I do use Rust LSP as well, and a few other languages every time, because there is an LSP mod. So if there is a hook, then it's going to use it anyway if I open it, and Python LSP and everything. So from Clojure point of view, how much of the protocol is implemented? Because sometimes I think in the beginning a lot I keep seeing like, oh, this method is not implemented for this language. So how much of it is relevant to Clojure, and how much is it already implemented, and how much you are?
When I started working on the project, probably 50% was implemented, and in my opinion, last time I checked, 80 or 90% it was done. So it's a really big thing. But there are things that doesn't make sense for Clojure. I think at least for most features, like finding implementation of a function. This probably only makes sense for def multi, def methods, things like that. But most of the protocol makes sense, which makes me think that the protocol is awesome as well.
Okay, and is it something like a quote unquote certification, like a compatibility kit or something? So hey, we are like 90% of LSP is supported here, because I can imagine it's a community thing. But how do you check if I'm writing it for a new language? So how do you confirm that this is in a usable state?
I don't think that is something automatic, but to use LSP, you need to think, there are some features that you really need to implement. Otherwise, it won't probably work, or the clients wouldn't accept it. So that's it. Find the definition, find the reference. Those are things that are really mandatory. But most of the language servers I found have this page saying all the capabilities that it has. Clojure LSP has its own page as well. So it says, oh, we have call hierarchy, we have find definition, find reference, code lanes, code actions, and things like that. So
okay, that's nice. Ray, we can't hear you.
Oh no.
I was auto music again.
I was auto muting there. I was just in the background.
Nothing of the value was lost. So
I was just in the background muttering "fucking Emacs, fucking Emacs." Oh my god, fucking Emacs! But we'll turn the sound back on now. I'll shut off. But no, I was going to say that there are things like things like that we were talking earlier on about, like that are in the cider kind of world. Things like code completion and stuff like that. Is that the kind of thing that you offer as well? So all of this kind of stuff for
we have code completion. It's a LSP feature. It's actually one of the features that are probably one of the most important when we talk about LSP. There was a lot of issues on code completion with Clojure LSP when I started working on it. I think it's really, really better now. I was actually working on an issue about this right before joining the the podcast, but
Well, tell us what it is. We want the scoop, you know. We're always looking for the hot off the press news.
Exclusive.
Yeah.
Definite exclusive.
Definite exclusive content.
Code completion, it makes really sense for LSP.
Because I think it's always a tricky one. It's always a tricky one, code completion, because you have like this. It's almost like I almost feel like it's one of these things where, you know, it's kind of like you need a bit of AI almost to make it really, really make. I think this is one of the. I mean, you know, I'm kind of like skeptical on AI generally, but I think this is kind of like area where it feels like it could be applied, you know, because when you're typing stuff, it kind of like, well, is it related to the thing that you were just using? Is it related to the thing that's most proximate to where you are in the file or in the namespace, or is it or what, you know? Because you often find with code completion, it ends up putting like all kinds of weird shit into the code completion, you know, that, you know, like all weird stuff from like Java or something, you know, or things that, you know, that are way outside of your like project namespace. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just kind of projecting here, but you know, what's your experience of code completion?
I think it's one of the most, probably one of the most hard, the code of the Clojure LSP. It's not easy because you need to know all the context that you are typing at the moment. So if you are inside a function, you need to provide under the locals that are inside this function. Following this order, you need also to provide all the things that user can complete with the prefix thing that he typed. So you need to provide other things like Clojure core, all the Clojure core definitions and functions and variables that it has, in things like that. For example, if a user is typing an alias that is not required when he selects this, we auto require this. So it's a really cool feature. So there are a lot of corner cases that we need to take care, but it's working really well, I think.
Because I think that's one of those. It's definitely an interesting sign. I think when you feel like your code completion is guessing correctly, you know, it feels good.
It feels really good.
But hey, we don't need code completion anymore because we have this AI copilot thingy. So it's gonna you just type A and then it's gonna fill in the whole 2,000 line code.
I wish there was
a
code completion for implementing the whole LSP for me.
Yeah, exactly. You just start typing code lengths and then it's just gonna fill in everything for you.
Yeah,
so
just implement it as if it's the same for JavaScript. You know, oh my god,
oh no.
The other thing that they kind of have there in this like LSP is things like formatting. Now, you know, this seems to me that like formatting is something which is
sensible.
Very, like I would say, very
sensible.
Personal.
It's not easy to create some kind of standard, that everyone like. I mean,
have you tried to? Does Nubank, for instance, have a formatting standard, or you know, is that something you can like put rules in your editor to kind of like get agreement on? Because I know that Cursive has rules for like alignment and indentation, and you know, blah blah blah.
We try to follow the Clojure style guide, which is really good. It's not the entire truth like they say on the guide, but it's really, really good. Clojure LSP uses under the hood CLJ-FMT, which is an awesome library for Clojure formatting, which makes you configure the way you want to format your code. Clojure LSP has this feature that you can provide the configuration for the format. So at Nubank, we have that library I said before, that is the code style library, and we have all the formatting, CLJ-FMT formatting configuration. So if you are using Clojure LSP, you are follow the same standards and the same configuration for formatting your code, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, okay. So that makes PRs a bit more straightforward to review.
Actually, there is...
I'm guessing there must be a pre-commit hook or something.
There is this new feature on Clojure LSP that was added recently, that is the Clojure LSP API, which is a huge feature supported by Clojure Together, which adds a new way to use Clojure LSP. That is, you don't need your editor anymore. So it's just tries to offer the same some features from Clojure LSP via an API or a CLI. So you could, for example, have Clojure LSP running in your CI. So you can say Clojure LSP, you can just run Clojure LSP link, Clojure LSP diagnostics, and which will bring all the LSP diagnostics like CLJ Condo does. You can run Clojure LSP format, and it will use the format feature for format your project, or clean a namespace to clean your whole namespace. So at Nubank, we are using this feature on our CI. So it's another really big thing because, for example, if Ray is coding on Clojure LSP, it's coding on Cursive, and is not actually following the same rules we use with Cursive, we will get you on the CI thing. So there is no way to run. There is no way to run from this. So it's a really cool thing.
All right. Okay.
I'm sure it's gonna be. It's gonna be fun when somebody commits to the CI build. You know. So somebody's gonna push to the CI build, and then they just use the refactor command, and then just say refactor all these function names to bullshit, and then that's it. And you just commit, and then all the function names are refactored.
It offers some, not all the features or factors. I think only the rename refactor we have, but the major features like diagnostics, formatting, and cleaning stuff, it's available.
Yeah.
So is that, you were talking right at the beginning about how you're looking at performance and stuff. You have that command line stuff. Is that done with the Graal VM as well? So it's kind of like snappy to start it up and get the output?
Since Clojure LSP is something that runs on the user machine, before Graal VM, we had this bad startup about the JVM starting. So some seconds are lost because of that. But after using Graal VM, we completely fixed that, and we had some memory and CPU improvements regarding the analysis stuff. So it was a really big thing, and it's working really good. Yeah,
and you can use it on the command line now with Graal VM as well. So it will just all this kind of stuff just happens super quick, so you don't have to be scared.
Yeah, the Graal VM thing was something implemented before the Clojure LSP API, but it's something that really helps because you can just type Clojure LSP format and it will start right away.
So I have one question about the Clojure side of it. So is there something that you thought like, wow, this could be a really nice feature for Clojure programmers, but LSP doesn't support it? So you are limited by the protocol because we keep talking about, okay, this is protocol is implemented 80%. That means there is like 10% of it is probably irrelevant to Clojure, but there must be something that is relevant to Clojure, but the protocol cannot support that one.
Multi-methods is a good example.
That's something really cool about the protocol because you can kind of create extra methods. So you doesn't need to. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so
for example, Clojure LSP has some extra methods. One of them is the resolve macro method. So Ray probably knows that Cursive has this feature where you can right-click on a macro and choose to resolve this macro as def-n or something like that. So this was something I was really missing on Clojure LSP. And I created this extra method for resolving the macros. So Clojure LSP has this, and probably it doesn't make sense for our language, but it makes sense for Clojure.
Other languages, yeah.
And what about things like protocols and multi-methods and def types and stuff? I guess def types is pretty simple because that's just basically Java.
It actually follows kind of the same pattern of the other things because you have this from CLJ Condo analysis eyes. It's just another thing that defines, for
Right.
example,
Right.
a var definition. So if you have def record something, you will have something as a var definition. So you could use something and find definition and find reference of this. So we have to handle some corner cases, like when you def record something, you have something, thread something, map something. So we have to handle this corner case, but follows the same thing.
But if, for instance, if you have a multi-method, if you have a def method, a def multi, and then you have, can you find all the def methods for a def multi?
When you find the
I'm
reference
asking,
of a def method
Okay,
or a def
that's cool.
multi, you have all the reference and all the calls for this def multi. We could probably add support for the find implementation to find only the references about this def method specifically. It's something we could improve, but yeah.
Nice. So speaking of improvement, so what are your next plans? I mean, is it something like because I'm assuming at some point it'll be like a done deal, right? The project will be stable and you implemented all the protocol as much as you can into that is relevant to Clojure, added all the things that are Clojure specific things as well. So where is it right now, and what is your goal for the future?
Yeah,
Let's say next 3 months or something.
I think probably I will add some new refactors. So something I have in mind is the support for adding a new dependency for your project, or that's like we have for CLJ refactor. So we will have this for LSP as well. I would like to see a Java integration thing with CLJ Condo, but this will probably be harder. But it would be really cool. Probably add more refactors, I think, and add support for new things on the protocol, because actually each year or 2 years the protocol bumps and we have new features.
Yeah, there's a new version comes in.
A new feature that will
have
on the protocol, next protocol version, it's the inlay hints. So for example, if you use Rust, you have this that are those overlays that show besides the params and things like that. I'm not sure this will be useful for Clojure, but it's something that we can think about it. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's it. Not sure. We had some features that are not entirely related with the protocol. For example, last release, we had the Clojure docs integration. So if you hover a symbol, you have all the docs about Clojure docs. So this is something specifically for Clojure that doesn't follow the protocol itself, but it really makes sense for Clojure.
Yeah.
But you'd have to use a mouse to do that, so I guess that never happens.
No, you don't have to. Not in
Actually,
Emacs.
you can use both on Emacs.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, oh wow, we're reaching almost 1 hour. So I think my final question is, how can people support you right now, apart from opening issues and sending PRs? So, is there something like are you part of Clojure Collective or open source thing, GitHub sponsors? So how can people support LSP initiative? Because I think this is a very critical piece in Clojure ecosystem right now.
I think that we have the Open Collective and the GitHub sponsors page, so supporting the project via this will help a lot. We supporting via issues and pull requests also helps a lot, so this would help a lot. I have this Patreon page, so if you really like my work on not only Clojure LSP but on LSP Dart and other open source projects, you can support me on Patreon. And that's it.
Yeah, we'll post a link there certainly,
Mm.
and I'm thinking like if Newbank or slash aka Cognitect is supporting GitHub sponsors and then they're sponsoring you, then they're essentially like giving you salary via two
Kind
more
of
steps,
recursive.
So it's like, yeah,
It's
exactly. It's
recursive,
more
yeah.
like it's just one step removed from directly giving you salary. Like, oh, okay, we're going to sponsor you on GitHub. But yeah, I think it is certainly, as I said, like it is the great equalizer for uh, all the editors which are inferior to Emacs, basically, to bring the same level as
Yeah,
Emacs level of refactoring and all the crap into other editors. But it is certainly, I think it's a really nice thing. I see it in other languages as well, like especially with Rust and Python and JavaScript code that I hack sometimes, occasionally, to realize Clojure is better. Every now and then you need to do some other shit to realize what you have is way better than other
yeah.
things.
I think the
But it's
yeah
yeah,
the LSP thing is something that it's it's becoming a huge thing at tooling and things like that, because today we already have LSP for almost all languages. I think, for example, you have for Bash, you have for even
yeah.
Markdown, and
Mm.
so
Yeah.
so we have this feature that enhances our experience. So it's working
Oh,
really well.
I'm gonna look for if there is a LSP for brainfuck.
Like Code
If it
Mirror.
is not
Yeah.
there, it needs to be. It needs to be there.
So Eric, apart from LSP, you say you do some other open source projects. So what kind of, are there other things that you want to talk about as well as LSP today, or should I just play the carnival music again?
Yeah.
That's a no.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I have some few projects like I actually really like the LSP thing, so I work on other LSP projects.
All right.
So
Okay.
um, I'm the creator of the LSP Dart, which is the LSP client for Emacs, and
Mhm.
it's something really cool and really different from Clojure because you have this mobile thing, so you can just use the LSP for debugging and spawning your mobile application for the Dart thing. So
Mm.
it's something really cool. But I'm also the maintainer of LSP mode for Emacs. Um, yeah, overall, our LSP projects that
You're
I work.
LSP centric.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
Awesome. On that note, and Eric, I really appreciate all the hard work you're doing, and I think I pretty much see you in spirit every time I'm opening a Clojure project, because I see the progress bar and then there is LSP mode initializing, and that is happening. So I know, if it is taking forever, then I know who to blame, and if it is, but for all the fancy features that is making Emacs experience way better, and also other editors' experiences, obviously, which I don't use. But I think it's a it's a phenomenal project, and also the way that it is coming
Thank
to
you.
different languages is really awesome, and especially people like you making dumb fuckers like me, like feel way smarter than we are. Otherwise, I'll be
No,
just printing it out and then just refactoring with my pen, and then my life would be pretty bad with this without this one. But
thank you. Thank you.
yeah, I think it's amazing, and thanks a lot for all the work that you're doing, and continue to. I hope Nubank continues to support you on this open source stuff as well, and the community as well. We'll post all the links to your Patreon as well as GitHub sponsorship and Open Collective in the description, in the show notes, and yeah, I think just make Nubank an Emacs company. You know,
Yeah, that's
just
that's
just
my
continue.
that's my objective.
Yeah,
Thank you, Vijay.
1,000 developers.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. This podcast is really good. I think this is something that brings the Clojure community together. So You are doing awesome work. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
It's
Yeah,
our
yeah. I
pleasure.
think we are like the peak of Clojure podcastery. I think
Yeah, it's a
we
really
are the
funny
best.
podcast.
Thank you. I think that's it. Oh fuck! There it is.
Let's just call it innovation. Let's call it innovation.
You dream with
Nice.
carnival songs today.
Oh man, I tell
Yeah,
you,
exactly.
it's bit. I mean, I don't know. It's a bit random thought, but all my life I've wanted to go to Brazil to the carnival. I've never been there yet, so I would love to do that. Are you a big? I guess next year with all the COVID being over in inverted commas, carnival's going to be big next year, I suppose.
Yeah, it will be huge.
Yeah. Are you a fan of the carnival, by the way, or is it sort of something?
I
Just for tourists. Okay.
I like the culture. It's really
Yeah.
something important for the Brazilian folks. It's really cool.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, let's keep Brazil strong.
Exactly.
So hopefully we'll meet you in real life soon. And
Yeah,
hope you
come
guys
say
stay,
hi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hope
We should
everybody
go on a
stays healthy.
Defen Brazil tour when we get.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to support our Brazil tour, go to our Patreon.
Pay us for our yacht, so we can take a yacht from Atlantic Sea all the way to Pacific. I think we should go around. Yeah.
Okay,
I think that makes sense. So
yeah,
I think if we get the yacht with Patreon money, I'm gonna put all the Patreon names on the yachts. Whatever. What does a yacht has? I don't know. Side? I don't know.
It has sides. Yeah.
So, I think with the Patreon money we'll get a kayak. So both of us. Anywho,
it's going to be a long row to Brazil.
Totally. I think we'll be right in time for the carnival if you start now.
Yeah.
On that happy note, I think everybody who is listening, I hope everybody is safe. I think the pandemic seems to be a never-ending thing, and it's becoming endemic now, hopefully. So stay safe, and we'll keep making more episodes soon. And that is the end of episode number 78, 79, and 80, I suppose. So we'll see you in the next episode, which is going to be 2001.
We need a CLJ Condor or an LSP to link our numbering, Expected 78, but got 79,
We need a Defend Podcast LSP.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or at least the diagnostic thing that is going to reject the publication of the new episode. Cool.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
From us. Yeah.
Have a great.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Defan. And the awesome vegetarian music or the track is Melon Hamburger by Pizzeri. And the show's audio is mixed by Wouter Dullert. I'm pretty sure I butchered his name. Maybe you should insert your own name here, Dullert. If you'd like to support us, please do check out our Patreon page. And you can show your appreciation to all the hard work or the lack of hard work that we're doing. And you can also catch up with either Ray, with me for some unexplainable reason. You want to interact with us, then do check us out on Slack, Clojurian Slack or Clojureverse, or on Zulip, or just at us at Defin Podcast on Twitter. Enjoy your day and see you in the next episode.
Anywho, I think I should stop nibbling on these nuts.